So why will home affordability get a lot better during the next 4 years? There's a secret surprise that I did not anticipate, and I think this is going to be a good one. First, let's talk about the obvious. The obvious are interest rates. And I know that interest rates in general have been pretty high for the last couple of years, only at about 7%. Now, most people will consider that high. However, historically, it's just average, right? And I know that there's steps being taken right now, and we need numerous government entities to, work together in order to get this home affordability kind of under control. We need interest rates to come down. We need inflations to be under control. We need people's general attitude towards the economy to be more positive with, a promise of a better future. We need more jobs created, and we need less job cuts. And I think that everything that I just mentioned is actually going to transpire in some way or another in the next 4 years. Now, most likely, it's not all going to be together. It's going to be in phases. But let's talk about the secret surprise, because obviously lowering interest rates is a quick, easy way to just spur up demand. And as nice as it may sound to lower interest rates, I think that one by itself, just if that was the only catalyst to get people to have homes more affordable, I think that catalyst would just be a very short-term solution to a long-term problem. The long-term problem is there's not enough housing units out there. That's really the problem. Too many people, not enough homes. So obviously building more homes is part of the solution, but there's a little more to it, because with the whole immigration situation where this presidency is kind of promising to, do some mass deportations of illegal immigrants, and also of anyone that wants to go with them. I think that's going to cause a lower demand, which is it's going to free up some units. So that might be a positive thing, where there's going to be a little bit more supply on the market. Now, the next component is when it comes to the building of new construction, whether it's apartments, whether it's single-family homes or condos, just dwellings, just units to live in. I learned that on every unit, the average cost of regulatory expenses is about $90,000. And think about it, when a median home price is only $400,000 and $90,000 is due to regulatory requirements, that kind of makes me think, wow, that's a pretty large percentage. Just slightly under 25% of the cost of a home, of a new construction home, has to do with regulation. And I can see a new case be made in the government where they might say, hey, we need to lower these requirements. A little bit of deregulation in housing, in creating housing. Now, deregulation tends to be, a little theme from our current president. He's talked about this many times, even during his previous presidency. And if we implement deregulation into housing, will that really cut the costs? Well, a part of me says yes, and another part of me says no, because I'll say yes, it would, because obviously the costs would go down, the actual expenses. But what's to stop the corporations that are building these properties from just pocketing the difference, or pocketing 3/4 of the difference, or half of the difference? So that part of me, the corporate greed component, makes me think, well, it won't fall that much. If $90,000 gets cut from the expense of building a home, we're not going to see a $90,000 benefit to the end buyer. That's just my opinion. What do you think about that? I'm curious. And by the way, my name is Maciek Zaremba. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota, currently walking at Bayfront Park, downtown Sarasota. Oh, I love this place, right by Marina Jack's over here. Boy, it's really beautiful here, although really cold, and it is one of our warmer days right now. So let's keep talking here. What else could spur some positive action for real estate that would cause affordability to go down and let first-time home buyers actually buy a house and afford it. It would let retirees be able to stay in their home instead of having problems with their limited income. Obviously, building more homes is the supply component. You build more homes, you got more competition, and prices should stop going up. And yes, prices did go up. They went up 5% year over year from December 2023 to December 2024, which is our latest statistics that we have. Prices went up 5%. Now, condo prices went down a little bit, at least in Florida they did. They went down about 6%, which means that single family homes actually went up more than 5%, right? And I know right now in our area, there's a lot of apartment buildings being built. There's a lot of new construction communities being built. I mean, a lot. We have 3 to 4 dozen new construction communities going up, each one offering at least 100 units, at least 100 homes, right? So there's a lot of inventory hitting the market, and they're selling. That's the crazy part, is that even though this economy is a little bit uncertain right now, those homes are selling. I am seeing the new construction, inventory dwindle as they keep building more. And they've slowed down the building. So I will say that they didn't pause. They just slowed down on how many units they will be releasing in what time frame. And they're offering unbelievable incentives. So even if you think you can't afford a home because interest rates are 7%, look at new construction. Those interest rates are 5%. If you want to know how that's happening, I have a different channel that I can explain how that's happening. But basically, they pay down your interest rate. That's what they do. That's the bottom line. Instead of lowering the price of the home, they pay the mortgage lender and the bank money to lower the interest rate. So there's a lot of affordability that you may not even know about unless you're actually actively shopping out there and seeing what are all those incentives from the different builders. But now let's quickly talk about condos, because this is another component of real estate, at least in Florida, that is really going through some serious trouble. I don't know if you know, but condos have been hit with a lot of new regulation in the state of Florida. And this regulation is causing some condo owners to simply give up on their condo. Literally, something worth $500,000, and then they get a special assessment for $200,000 or $150,000, and they can't afford it. So they don't have many options but to sell at a loss, or sometimes they just have to get foreclosed on if they have a loan. So condos are one of the big problems, which I think are just getting started. I think the condo problems will continue to escalate as they have. Now look at these condos, for example, right here, right? In this building right here, which is one of the newer buildings, you're pretty much looking at a $3 to $5 million price point to start with. Now, some of these over here might be about $6-7 million. I mean, these condos are not cheap. They're pretty expensive. Even this building right here, this is one of our newer buildings, but some of them are older, definitely, and they're a little more affordable. And some of them are actually commercial buildings with no residential in it. And when you look at the expenses of the older buildings, and you look at the special assessments that are levied because they don't have enough money in the bank account and the reserves saved up, it starts becoming unaffordable to a lot of people. And then people have to make some decisions. And I know of probably half a dozen condo communities in Florida that have decided to sell to a real estate developer. Everybody, the whole board, voted to sell their units, let them tear it down, build something new. And guess what? That new one is going to be less affordable than these unaffordable ones that were sold. They're going to build, to new standards, to new demand of today's demand, which is basically like some of these condos here, right? What are they? They're very expensive. They are absolute luxury. And the luxury, starts at $3-4 million, right? That's where it starts. There's units here for 15 million for some units, you know, and we're in January 2025. Can you just imagine if we have a hyperinflationary situation, how much more they're going to cost? Can you imagine if there's less and less of these old buildings that they get torn down and then new construction comes in? You may ask yourself, who's buying these? Listen, there's no shortage of luxury buyers. They want to live in a place like here, Sarasota, Florida. They want to live in Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Palm Beach Gardens or wherever, right? This is Naples. They want to be here. They want to have a second home here because they can afford it. I mean, I've asked myself sometimes, where are these people coming from? And yes, there are foreign buyers as well. So back to our president, you know, he has not done anything about these condos. It's actually our governor that passed something a few years back, Governor DeSantis, that basically made these condo buildings have to have more reserves, have to do some structural integrity studies on the buildings, which have caused some of the some of the findings to show that the buildings are not safe. Are you affected by this? Please write a comment. Let me know if you have a condo and if you've had any special assessments and how much they are. So in a nutshell, our home affordability has to go through a whole bunch of steps. One is deportation of people. That will free up some housing units. I think that's happening already. I'm not saying that should happen, but that looks like it's going to be happening. Next is a collaboration of all the different entities of the US government working together to lower interest rates and making things more affordable. And the surprise one is getting the regulatory constraints under control. Even if just 50% of the regulatory costs are eliminated, that will lower pricing by at least 10%.